So I'm going to first talk a little bit about Hammerson, because some of you may not know much about us. So we are a retail property owner and developer. We have 57 shopping destinations across Europe and over 10 billion portfolio. We focus on 3 areas, which are around convenience, so that's with our portfolio of retail parks. We look at experience through shopping centres, and we own prime destinations like Bullring in Birmingham, around the corner, Brent Cross, Terrasse de Port in Marseille, and then we also have a stake in luxury through our premium outlets, so that's a stake in places like Bicester Village. So it might seem a little bit odd as to why I'm talking at an event about internet retailing, but actually we feel that our destinations are the ultimate, basically multi-channel location, and actually our productivity goes far beyond in-centre sales. So already through things like click and collect, we're partnering with people like Amazon, with pure play retailers, and actually what we're finding is growth in that space has been massive. So customers find our locations greatly convenient for things like picking up click and collect deliveries. So that is driving productivity. There is a retail halo that we see. So to give you an example, one of our massive retailers who opened a new location recently, they saw a 40% uplift in sales within that region, so within that catchment. So it shows you the halo effect physical locations have. And that's why we believe still that physical retail is really, really important for retailers and for brands. And to give a bit of context, we're also dealing with a very, very changing customer mindset. So customers now are more interested in quality over quantity. Price is much less important, but value is massively so. They tend to shop more locations and more retailers across more channels. And actually, they increasingly are spending much, much more time on research. And these are all things that even as a physical landlord, we really, really need to consider how we build how we grow our locations to meet these customer needs. So what are Hammerson doing in response to this kind of omni-channel environment? We've developed something called a product experience framework. We believe that sets us apart from our peers and allows us to create desirability. So that's locations that retailers want to be in, shoppers want to come to, and investors want to invest in. It starts with having iconic destinations, so that's not just about architecture, it's about the environment, how it responds to the community, integrating technology and looking at things like flexible construction techniques. It's about bringing together the best of retail, so that's bringing the right brands, fresh new concepts and pop-ups, innovative retail technology, which I'm going to come on to talk a bit more about, and ensuring that we really support retailers to be as efficient as possible in terms of back of house. Experience is really important. So that is the reason people are still going to physical locations, because there's something that they can get from that they can't get necessarily online. So we are focusing massively on leisure, and leisure is becoming a big anchor for us. We're looking at our events program, so how we make it more engaging, and how we bring those moments of surprise and delight into the centre. And obviously at the heart of everything we do is the customer. So we need to ensure that we're really thinking about the customer's needs. We're not doing technology for technology's sake, and actually we're trying to deliver a really seamless, frictionless experience. So here just shows a little bit of that framework in action. I'm going to come on obviously to do some case studies, but we've got destinations like Victoria Gate in Leeds, which is an amazing location if you haven't been. It's a modern interpretation of an arcade, and it's truly, truly stunning. In terms of our events program, again, looking at how we differentiate ourselves, we've done things like the Festival of Light in West Quay. We've worked with award-winning Chelsea gardeners to bring to life a garden within our one of our centres in Dundrum. So this has been a huge program that runs across all of our portfolio. We've launched tools like Style Seeker, which is an AI visual search tool, and I'll come on to talk about that, that really supports retailers and allows for product discovery. And we're constantly looking at new services and facilities for shoppers. So as I said, we've rolled out things like click and collect into all of our centres, but also looking at services like hands-free shopping, personal shoppers. So how do we create and differentiate that experience? And then finally, making sure our centres really respond to community needs. So I'm going to talk a little bit about customer engagement and our digital infrastructure program. So about 4 years we kicked off with a massive transformation project, and that was to look at how we respond to that omnichannel or multi-channel kind of customer. The starting point with that was to make sure we really actually understood what shoppers were doing in our centres, and we started with a massive rollout of beacons. So we now have beacons within all of our shopping centres. And that was to allow us to start to understand a little bit about behaviour and to augment some of the other tools that we had around customer insight. We've starting to use those tools to engage and communicate with shoppers with the view that ultimately what we're trying to drive is positive behaviours. So whether that's increasing footfall, driving retailer spend, increasing dwell time, so all of those things that add value to our retail tenants. Part of that journey was to develop something called the Plus app. This now is live across all our shopping centres in UK and France. And what that does is it allows us to give exclusive offers and loyalty-based rewards to our shoppers. It allows us to do contextual location-based alerts through that beacon network. We also have added services like the ability to RSVP for events, interactive wayfinding, which is again delivered through that Bluetooth technology. And what that's allowed us to do is start to leverage some of that data and make a real difference to consumer behaviour. We're at the start still of that journey, so it's been a long one. We've done a lot in the customer space, but now what we're starting to do is look at how we really leverage the potential of that data and start sharing some of that insight with retailers, using it in terms of our leasing discussions. And we believe that once we start doing that, we really create a very valuable retail space. So to give you a little bit of insight into some of the stats to date, we're really pleased with the progress that we've made. So we now have over 450,000 downloads of the app, predominantly across the UK. What's really impressive and we've been delighted with is that 62% of those customers have registered, which is well above industry averages. And we believe that's because of the quality of the offers and content and the hard work that we're doing to ensure that the app is engaging as possible. 1 in 3 customers has redeemed one of those offers, again showing the value of working really hard with retailers. So to give you an indication of the types of things we'll do, it may be a free smoothie or free coffee to entice someone to come in. It may be a unique exclusive gift that we've managed to negotiate with our retailers. So it's really picking up on that element of surprise and delight. In terms of app opens, we have over 3.5 million app opens, and you can see the engagement is really, really strong. What's also really exciting for us is that actually app opens in centres, so people using some of those tools like the wayfinding has been really successful. And what we've seen is that those Plus app users visit our centres 57% more than non-Plus customers. So they are really, really valuable customers to us. So they spend more, they visit more, and they spend longer in our centres. And we've learned 3 things really from a number of the trials that we've done. The first one is that communications, if they're relevant and targeted, really can drive shoppers into the centre. So we've been doing a program of push notifications, and actually what we've seen is that's increased visits to the centre by over 300%. We also collect data on things like emails, and we're able to complementarily use that to, again, send really relevant and targeted emails to shoppers. We have a birthday email program which gives customers a £5 voucher to spend in one of our centres. That has driven up to a 200 increase versus the control group. So that point around if they're relevant, they're targeted, they add value, they will drive shoppers into your centre more frequently. In terms of the location-based elements, so leveraging the Bluetooth technology that's in the centres, we've been doing a pilot on sophisticated kind of real-time targeting. So when a shopper's walking past a particular location, can we send them a push to tell them about an exclusive offer? Again, we've seen some really great take-up on that. So offer redemption increased by over 100%. And actually what was really interesting is it also increased subsequent visits to that centre. So that point about driving loyalty, because we've been able to do something real-time, targeted to where you are that's relevant and you really want, is definitely increasing future kind of visits and frequency as well. And to keep the app really engaging and sticky, we know that we need to continue to work on content. And that's not just kind of content within the app, but it's also the types of offers we run. So recently we ran a parking promotion which gave shoppers their 4th visit free. And again, what we saw was a big uplift on dwell time on that 4th free visit. So encouraging people to spend longer in the centres, we know, directly leads to benefit for our retailers in terms of retailer sales. We've also developed new technology and functionality to make the app more appealing. And I'm going to show a video in a moment of Style Seeker. So Style Seeker is it's an AI tool. It uses visual search to allow you to take a picture of an item of clothing. It will then show you similar items from within retailers within that shopping centre. We've generated over 100,000 product impressions in the first few months of launch, and we've had over 2,000 people using, and I think around 10,000 searches. So I'm hoping this will play seamlessly. Great, so hopefully that gives you a bit of a flavour about what Style Seeker does. We're really proud of this, so we're the first shopping centre to use this technology in Europe. The reason we did it, so we had some customer insights around customers effectively being on rails. So 92% of people tend to visit the same 4 or 5 stores every time they go to the centre. Typically, they park in the same place, they'll do the same route, we all do it. So our challenge was, how do we get people off those rails? How do we get them to visit more retailers or different retailers? So we started with a beta test at Brent Cross. It was targeted within a small group of Plus users and allowed us to in a quite an agile, low-cost way, really understand, would this app actually help change that behaviour? What we saw is it did. So the majority of customers visited different stores or found stores and brands that they just weren't aware of. So we got very, very excited. Since then, so we then did a full kind of pilot within Brent Cross, and we've now rolled that across out across the UK towards the end of October, and we've just done our first trial in France. We've got about 28 retailers on board, some really great brands, which is fantastic. As I said, we've got over 2,000 unique users who've used the app, over 10,000 searches, and that's generating a lot of product impressions. Next, I just want to talk about how we're starting to think about customer service. So another of the trials that we've been running is looking at how we can, again, leverage AI technology to improve that customer service, to offer 24/7 instant access to information. We started with a small trial at Oracle. We've now evolved that to something that we're doing at Bullring. Part of this, again, came from customer insights, so people being frustrated with the online journey, not being able to get the information they need. And you can imagine, as a landlord, there's a lot of content that we have. So we have hundreds of retailers and brands. We offer a host of services. So actually being able to give very kind of quick, instant response was really, really important. We also were very aware that over 80% of 80% of time on smartphones is spent in messaging apps. So being able to deliver something in the kind of messenger space or WhatsApp space was really, really important to us, because that's a very easy way then to communicate with those smartphone users. So we have a smart platform that allows for not only a kind of guided Q&A, but actually allows for free text kind of questions. It's embedded into Facebook Messenger and the website at the moment, and there are plans to expand that to other channels. The usage has been fantastic and really, really surprised us. So in the first 2 months, we had over 5,000 people use the bot. And what was most impressive was actually the bot was able to handle most of those questions. So around here, 84% was successfully handled by the bot. And why that's important is because nearly 70% of the questions that we got in that period were free text questions. So people just, asking something that, they needed to know, as opposed to following that guided route. So the bot was having to deal with, things like local dialect, dealing with different ways of posing, the same thing. So it has been really successful in terms of the bot being able to learn very, very quickly how to respond to those. And actually this will improve over time as the bot gets smarter. On the 16% of unhandled questions, what we do is we direct those to customer services. So we're still trying to manage that group where, we simply don't have an answer. The bot hasn't seen that before. What's been fantastic is those 5,000 users have asked over 23,000 questions, which is nuts, and has given us lots of really, really interesting insight. So things like insight onto customer experience, and as a result, we've made direct changes to that online journey to improve it, where we're seeing frustration or people not being able to find content within the website. We're also seeing searches and queries for brands that we don't have. So for our leasing team, that is really, really useful information. So we can start to identify, brands that we want to target, that there's big demand from customers. And then finally, we've also seen a lot of really interesting insight into facilities or services that we don't have, which is feeding into our customer experience program. So, people asking for facilities like prayer rooms, that might not have been on our radar before. Now it gives us the insight to look at how we might develop those facilities and services to support our shoppers. The other area that we've been trialing and testing in is with augmented reality. So how do we make, as I said, create a really experiential place that customers want to spend time in? We did a trial around October half term, working on the Zapper platform. With a partner, and we created a Halloween Scooby-Doo experience that basically, where we placed markers across the mall. What it did is it triggered an augmented reality experience, but also gave you a game that you could then keep on your smartphone and play each time that you came back. So it was very much targeted at families and kids. What our objective was to get people around to different areas of the mall. So we obviously will always have the kind of hotspots and main entrances and well-traveled kind of paths, but we also have areas where we get less footfalls. So what it allowed us to do was ensure that by targeting those markers, we were able to channel and again change that customer behavior in terms of where they went. So we had around 3,500 gameplays, a huge reach on social media, and a huge amount of engagement within social media. And what we were also really excited about was actually the length of gameplay was 18% longer than the Zapper average on their platform. So we were able to create some really interesting gaming content that customers engaged with. So a really positive example of how we're starting to use technology in a more experiential way. And then very finally, I just want to kind of end on what's the future. We are looking at lots of different technologies, but we're also really conscious that consumer mindset and behaviors are changing massively, and we need to keep abreast of that. For us, the sweet spot is in the middle, where technology can start to meet some of those behavioral changes. So as an example, we're looking at artificial intelligence, things like voice recognition technology. How can that help and support the aging population? So we might want to embed voice technology within our centre wayfinding to make it more accessible, as one example. We're also looking at back of house facilities and how things like automation and IoT can support our retailers, so we can start to truly help them deliver endless aisles. So that might be back of house logistics, it might be smarter kind of buildings. So I think either way, what we're really conscious of are the shopping centres that we're delivering now and developing for 5 years' time need to have this technology embedded if they're going to meet those customer needs. That's it. Thank you very much.